my grandma and your grandma was sitting
Hey everybody, it's Murphy Gray Hunter. I feel like let me put y'all up on top of another book. Okay. Oh, that's better. I feel like I'm going, hi, how are y'all? But no, this is good. If I put one more, yes, I think one more. Oh no, I'm an idiot. Ta-da! I feel lifted. No, it is, what is January? I'm an idiot. It is July 12th, Thursday afternoon. It's early afternoon. I'm having my coffee. See? Vegan. Isn't it cute? Look at, it's made out of fruits and veggies. I got this from Amazon. I think I paid like $15.99. I like, you guys know I have a little bit of a problem. I collect coffee mugs. And I don't just collect them, I actually do use my cups. And I did a little video showing y'all some of my cups. But I have them all in, in a different category in my kitchen. Like one cabinet just for, I was reading a message. I have them all in categories. Like one is for my, like Christmas and for Halloween and fall. And then I have the other holidays like in one little area, like, when you have Easter or St. Patrick's Day, those type of things. Because, I really only have like 1 or 2 cups of those particular things. And then I have all the other ones. But I like to drink coffee or whatever I'm drinking, my tea, and pick something like my mood. You know how you pick music to fit your mood? That's kind of how I am with my cups. Anyway, it's been a hot minute since I've done a grandma story. And one of the reasons why I have not done any grandma stories is because I can't remember which grandma stories I've told you guys. So I need to go back through my videos. I've already said this. I need to go back through my videos and see which grandma stories I've already told you guys. Because I don't remember, but I have almost 500 videos. They're not all grandma stories. You guys know I do a variety of different types of videos, but I have to go through there and see which grandma stories I have told you, because I think I've just kind of mentioned things here and there. But anyway, so I'm just actually talking to my aunt right now, which is on my grandma's side. I just asked her right now, because, if you've been watching my videos, you know that she has said that I can go and she will write down some of my grandmother's spells for me and teach me the things that my grandma taught her. So I've gone there 3 times, and she's had nothing for me. And she says, I will get this to you, this and that. Okay. So right now I'm asking her, hey, have you gotten anything written down from grandma's stuff? And she says, yeah. She goes, well, mom, so she calls her, mom had a lot of spells that, like for healing and cures. And then she had a lot of recipes to remove spells and evil things in people's homes, and plus a lot of other things. And she goes, but you need to come and talk to me because I have a lot of information I can give you. So I'm like, girl, I've been coming. And now, mind you, when I go, she's in her shop working. So, I get it. But that's what she told me to come. So I told her I can come during the week. She's like, I work during the week and I do my shop on the weekend. So come, on the shop. So I'm just going to go. I told her I'll go again and, sit there and just write down everything she tells me. Write it down or I'll record it, whatever she wants. So I'm going to try to see if I can go this weekend and get something, you know what I mean? I think I need to go with just myself and Jade, because I feel like when I take other people, because usually I take my other children, like my older daughters, because they want to go antique shopping. But I think when I do that, I think it kind of like shies her up from doing that. Like, I don't know. I can't assume that everybody is so outspoken, or speaks about their witchcraft freely like I do. you know, I just automatically assume it's just like, hey, like, let me share this recipe for mashed potatoes. You know, but maybe she's not like that. Maybe she's like, I can't, you know, like, I need some privacy. So I think that's what I need to do. And it's so hot. Her shop is outside. I'm like, oh, girl, you can take this. Just put your hair up in. That's why my hair just stays in a knot, because, guys, it is a billion degrees out here. You guys know I live in Texas. I know there are some places that people tell me, oh, it's hot, or, you know, it's like, you know, 5,000 degrees here. What are you complaining about? Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not used to 5,000 degrees. And it's just hot. Like, why do we have to have summer? I mean, I understand as a vegan, I should love it. I do, but it's just so hot. But I will push myself through. Is that incense inside of my coffee? I think when I put my incense across, oh well, down the hatch it goes. Anyway, so again, I'm going to go through my videos and see which ones I've told you, so I don't just, you know, repeat myself. So I wanted to tell you this one. I know for sure I haven't told y'all, because this was kind of new to me. So you guys know that I go to my grandma's hometown where she was living. She wasn't born there, but where she spent a good amount of her adult life until she passed away. And there's a little store there that I always go, and I get candles and oils and stuff. And it's right down the street from the haunted school. Well, on my mom's side, she has some cousins that live there, but her cousins already have, like, passed away. And there's this one cousin, and I don't really remember what it was. My mom's cousin, and then they lived with their aunt. And I always remember that her name was, like, in English, it was Aunt Panties, because they used to call her Tia Chona. Wait, Tia Chones, and I think I found out later, like, why is her name, is that her name, Chones? Yeah, because I don't really speak Spanish. And they're like, no, that actually means panties in English, like underwear. I'm like, what? So her name is Aunt Panties? So anyway, honestly, I don't even know what her name is. I'm sure my mom told me one time, but being Dory and all. So anyway, but they had passed away, but so they're, the cousins and Aunt Panties, you know, siblings and stuff, you know, were there right in the house. And so at one point, there was a house that they were selling, and I really, really was interested in buying this house. I was either going to buy that house, or I was going to buy a house down the street that was connected to a shop in the front. And I wanted to buy this house, and the shop in the front turned it into a coffee shop. But then I really didn't want to live in this little town, right? And so, you know, I didn't end up doing it, and which I should have done it, because at the time they wanted $80,000 for the house and the store in front. Like, literally, the house in the back and the store is right there. Fuck. Anyway, but so I don't really know those people. Like, I don't know Aunt Panties and my mom's other cousin. You know, I don't know their siblings. I don't really know any of, you know, I just don't. You guys know how y'all have, like, siblings and stuff. You just, I don't know. So I was in that store, and the owner of the store, he's an older man, and he remembers he's the one who told me some stories about my grandparents, and he knew my father very well. And he was the one who was surprised that he goes, I didn't know that your father had other children. I thought he only had 3 sons. Okay, that's really lovely. Yeah, he only knew that my father only talked about 3 of my brothers. There are 8 of us. We have 6 brothers, and then there's 2 girls, so there's 8 of us. So, you know, we talked and everything, and so whenever I see him, we always, you know, chit-chat, and I always go into the store. It's like a store and a Botanica together. And you guys have seen in previous videos where I go and I buy stuff. The next time I go, I'm going to take a picture and record inside the store if they let me, just to show what it is. Anyway, but some of these smaller places, they just like, no. Anyway, so we were, I was there talking to him, and there was some other people in the store because it's like a little mini market, and that person came around and said it was a woman, like more of an older woman, those that are always up in your business. And she's like, "Are you talking about such and such family?" And I'm like, "Yes." And like, yes, but I'm trying to find that information. And this woman goes, "Oh, you're related to this family?" And I'm like, "Yeah," like, down the line, right? And she's like, I'm gonna tell y'all why in a minute. And she goes, "Oh, yeah, I heard a lot of bad things about the grandmother. Yeah, I heard a lot of bad things about her." Now, this woman was like, I don't know, maybe in her 50s, I would say. And she was like, "I heard a lot of bad stories about her, that she was like the town bruja. And she was, she did a lot of bad things for, people. She would do anything for money." And she goes, a friend of my mother's told me that, oh, it's lint. I'm like, what is this flying around? Okay, you guys know how I am with bugs. Okay, and so, she's like, my mother's friend told me that she used to go and clean houses. Now, you guys remember my grandma did a bunch of things for money. She did a lot of spell work. She deliced kids. She took, like, right before school, they would pay her to take all the lice out of children's heads. And she would do that, line them up and put kerosene all on them. Fuck. But she would do that. My grandmother made blankets. I don't know if she crocheted or she knitted. I really don't know the difference, but she made blankets and she sold that. And she also sold like a lot of little like medicinal medicine, to people who, like tinctures and salves and things like that. But she also cleaned houses. That I didn't know. I mean, I had heard about it, through my mom, but I didn't really know more about anything. Anyway, so she said, yeah, she goes, my mom's friend said that she came and she hexed her house. And that she had found out that my grandma used to do that. Like, she would go and clean people's houses, and if they did her wrong, she would hex their house. And she would put something either on their front porch or in their yard or inside the house itself, because, she had access inside. For whatever reasons, I don't know. And I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Did you hear anything else?" She said, "Yeah." She says, a lot of people would go to her and she would do a lot of bad things. Like, she was a bad woman, but at the same time, she healed so many people. Like, she helped heal so many people. And she goes, and there were so many women who couldn't go to the hospital and have their babies, and she would help deliver their babies. I'm like, fuck, like, what? Like, like, it wasn't that long ago, like, crazy. But I believe it, Hospitals have always been like, sign your life away if you want some treatment. But, so, she said that, yes, that everybody kind of stayed away from her. And then the old guy from the store, he's like, "Oh yeah, she was one not to be messed with. Nobody would go there. They literally," he says, "they could go to sleep with their windows and their doors open because nobody ever thought about going into her house. And nobody even tried. They knew, they were afraid of her. They'd stay away." And he said that he remembers some stories of people telling him that they would go to her, for services for the crossroads. and she would take them to the crossroads. Now you guys know how I told you she had my mom used to live with them for a little while. When my mom was married to my dad, they lived with her for a while. And my mom said that people would come late at night, knocking on the door, and my grandma would go get her little book, and then she would tell my mom, I'll be back. And she would leave. And so one time she told my mom that, yeah, she takes these people to the crossroad, and she has in her book, fuck, I still want her book so bad. In her book, she would say she would call upon whatever demon that would come and meet this person to make a deal, to make a pact. Now, I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, that's not true, that doesn't happen. You know, I am a firm believer in everything. You guys know I'm a firm believer in unicorns. Don't ever let me find one, because I'll be here doing a video, I'll see the unicorn just walking click, 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 in the house. I swear to God, I love some unicorns. But no, I am a firm believer. I'm a firm believer in calling that, you know, the whole crossroad stories about calling a demon and making a pact. I firmly believe that. I've read so many stories, countless stories of just crossroad pacts and making deals with demons. Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that. And everybody that I've talked to has even told me that, yes, you know, my grandmother used to do this, and she would get paid to take them there. She would call them, and then she would tell them, okay, I've called them, so you're going to see some kind of you know, black figure come, either a black man or a dog or a cat or some kind of something all black is going to come and going to make your pact. And so you know, I'm sure it was said in a different way, but basically like that. And my aunt, my other aunt, not the one that had the book and died, and not the one who's helping me now, but my other aunt. And I remember my grandmother had 15 children. So I saw my other aunt, and you know, they remember me, but they don't know me as an adult. So this is why now I'm trying to get to know them as an adult, because there are so many things about my grandmother's side of the family that I want to know. And my aunts, they practice witchcraft, so I definitely want to know their knowledge, because it's passed down from my grandma. So if I can't get the book, then I can at least get the knowledge through them because of what she taught them. So anyway, so what's funny is that I didn't know that she was putting hexes on houses. And when she would put a hex, she said that basically she put a hex on the house, and that all these horrible things started happening in that house. Like, you know, they had constant bad luck, everything, and like just bad things would happen. And she also said that my grandmother had the ability to call upon demons and put them and send demons on people. That I don't know. You know, when people start talking about other people, but she didn't know that, you know, that what my relation was to her. She just knew that I was part of the family. But she didn't know that that's my grandmother, right? And she didn't know who I was. So, again, because she just like butted in and started putting her 2 cents in. But whatever, I'll game, I'll listen. So there was a time about, I don't know, 13 years ago. Sounds crazy when I say that, but yeah, about 13 years ago, I was living in one of their relatives' duplex. So I don't know, I don't really remember how this went, but there was a time where I was having a really, really rough spot in my life. Maybe been longer than that. I maybe longer than that. And this family member on my mom's side said that I could live in her duplex. And I said, okay, cool. So I was paying her rent. And so one month I told her that I really was behind. I got behind. It was just things that happened. Like, you know, during that time, my 2 daughters had ran away. My daughter had gotten into an accident. My other daughter got into an accident with a car. I was struggling with trying to find someone to help watch. Jesus Christ, that scared the hell out of me. That was something on my iPad. Guys, y'all know my nerves are bad. But anyway, I was struggling during that time. And I got behind like 2 months worth of rent. And guys, y'all know how hard it is just to pay 1 month's worth of rent. But to have to pay 2 months worth of rent, I was like, I missed a lot of time from work because during that time, my 2 girls had ran away. And if y'all want to know a whole story on that, I definitely can. But they had ran away, and so I was losing my mind. So I missed a lot of time from work. And anyway, long story short, I got behind. And so she had asked me, if we can make some kind of arrangements, which I did. I was trying to pay her a little bit each month, but I was trying to catch up, and she wasn't the only bill that I had. And anyway, you guys know the whole deal when you get behind. So she had asked me to move out, and I said, okay, fine. So I just need to find somewhere to go. And so I didn't have money to move into another apartment. I didn't know what I was going to do. Luckily, one of my good friends at the time, she said I could come and live there with her so I could make enough money to move. I had a great job. It's just I had to get back into it. I had missed so much work from my 2 girls being gone that I needed to get, I just need to work for a month, month and a half straight, and I can do it. And I was working at the hospital. I made great money. It's just I needed to catch up. And so anyway, but while I was trying to get my stuff together, I don't know who these were. They were cousins, uncles, I don't know, came over to the house and tried to be all like, you blah, 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 all up in my business. I'm like, do you see that I am packing my stuff? It was, oh my God, it was a horrible time. And I had to call the police because they were just harassing me. And so I remember the day that I was moving everything out. Because remember, since I had missed time from work, I could not turn around and ask for more time off to move. I had a job that I worked Monday through Friday, night shift at the hospital, 11 to 7. So you go to work all night and you come home and you try to sleep for a little bit, get up and pack and all, and go to work. That was my whole life. But I could not ask for time off because I was already in trouble from missing too much time from work. But they were understanding because of the situation I was going through. So you just can't turn around and be like, hey, because, people try to be as understanding as they can. Anyway, so that day that I was moving, and this is after I already had called the police and stuff like that on them and told them they're in this house right now. Well, this is my cousin's house or my niece's house. I can't really remember. And she hasn't paid rent. And basically the cops are like, look, regardless of what the situation is, she still has 30 days to move out. And this isn't your place, so you need to get out of here. If you come around here again, we're going to arrest you, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, because it is scary when you're living there with your girls and then you have to work and, you have idiots, and so anyway, one day the day we're moving, I'm taking stuff out, and they had wrote on the front door step, like the doorway, the sidewalk to come inside, they had wrote in chalk, really like 3-year-old handwriting and spelling, basically telling me to get out of this house or something like that. Get out of this house, you're not paying. Like really rude, ugly stuff to me, right? And it was really misspelled. And so I said, okay. So they had a doormat there, right? And so, I already, washed everything off, whatever. And then we were already leaving. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to just go double check, make sure everything is clean. Because, even though they're asses to me, and she was being an ass to me, I'm still not that way. I wanted to make sure it was all clean. I wanted to leave it the way that I found it. And so I went through, and then I had grabbed some chalk from my daughter's little box because I already knew in my mind what I wanted to do. And so I pulled that mat, and I did a hexing. At the time, I really didn't know that these hexing sigils, like sigils itself. I didn't know exactly all the power behind sigils. I do now. I wrote a sigil, a hexing sigil, like basically hexing that home. I did it in the front, and then I put the mat on top of it, and then I went to the back, and I did it on the back as well. Put the mat on top of that, and then I said, well, I wonder if I should do it anywhere else. I went into the garage and I put one, because it's white chalk, and I did it in there, and I did it against the wall that was kind of like same color, so you really couldn't see it unless you were really, and also you knew what you were looking for. I didn't put it right in the middle so everybody would know what it was, and of course the little mats, I mean, as people walk on them in time, they would get completely cleaned off, so nobody would suspect anything. But I put that, and I'm like, and as I'm doing it, I'm like, I'm hexing this house. This house will never, because she was going to sell it. That's why she was telling me I had to move, because she says that she had somebody who's going to buy her duplex. And so that's why you have to get out. That's why she reneged on the payment plan that we had set up, where I would pay so much each month on top of the rent. I would to catch up for the 2 months. But she said, well, I decided I'm going to sell it, and they're going to buy it in 2 weeks or whatever, so you have to get out. So, of course, when they told her I had 30 days, I knew it was a bunch of shit, but whatever. So I did that, so that way nobody would buy it. And I did, after that, I would just periodically just ride through there. That place had a for sale sign out there for the longest time, and it started to look really, really bad. One time I went through there and it had a broken window in the front. There's a window right there by the kitchen, and like one of these long ones, and it was all broken, and you can see like someone had broke in, because you know how those cheap blinds and you break in and they kind of go everywhere. They were like that. There was a for sale sign there for the longest time, and so yeah, I felt really good hexing that house, because they were just really ugly. I wouldn't have done anything, but if you're gonna be ugly to me, y'all should know better. But anyway, so when she was telling me that story, I had not thought about what I had did to that house, because you guys know I'm Dory. I don't remember. That has been so many years ago, like years ago, over a decade. And so when she was saying that, it's almost like I went to another world and I saw this happening. I'm like, oh my God, but of course I didn't say anything. But I just thought it was really funny how my grandmother used to go into homes and bewitch homes that either the people, but see, in her defense, from what the lady was saying and what the owner of the store was saying, as the reasons why she would bewitch those homes was because she would go into clean homes for families, and then they wouldn't pay her. So she would go and she would bewitch their house. Like, well, she would go in and ask them for her payment, and they're like, well, we don't have the money. So she's like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and clean your house today, because she was there. I'll go ahead and clean it. I know you'll pay me. But she did that so she could have access to inside the house and put her mojo. My grandma was one badass witch, man. She was one badass bruja. And, I know when I tell these stories and I have memories of my grandmother, the way that she was, I know like a lot of people think that, like my mom would tell me, she's like, oh, your grandma was so bad and she does that. And I think to myself, that doesn't seem bad at all. I'm so like my grandmother. I feel that every time that she bewitched someone or, hex or curse someone, she did it because they had something come into them or because they did something wrong to her. I honestly don't feel that she would just do it just like, let me pick, someone today, someone who I'm going to hex today. I honestly don't feel that she did that. But again, I don't know. But I do know that she did a lot of good and she did a lot of bad. Now, one thing that is really hard for me to forgive my grandmother are for the things that she did to my mother. But I'll save that for another video, and I'll talk about all of the things that she did to my mom. And I think I've talked about it in some of the other videos, but I think I'll just make one video just kind of describing the different things that my mother has told me over the years that she did to her because she would not get back with her son. So my grandmother did a lot of spells on her, and what my mom had to do to get those off. So, but yeah, I mean, that is really, really hard. But even with that, I find my grandmother to be such a fascinating person, and such a I mean, like, just the things that she did. I mean, I'm doing the same thing in some of those. But anyway, like hexing houses, I'm like, what was so bad about that? I was doing the same thing. Only because they were being assholes to me. But hey. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this little story. I know it wasn't a great big story, but I am going to go through the stories this weekend and see the ones that I have told you, and if I have not told you any details on those, I definitely will. I do plan on trying to go see my aunt this weekend to see if I can get some information from her for me, and I can let y'all know about that. Alright guys, as always, I love you all, and blessed be.